In this video, I'm going to test and explain the differences between your favorite bottled water brands to help you choose the best one for your family. Hi, I'm Gary the Water Guy, and I simplify water filtration to help you conquer crappy water. I recently posted this video where I tested, explained, and shared the differences between 15 common brands of bottled water. During that video, I commented that the influencers promoting their water never spoke about why their water was the best. So I tested them. But many of you asked, hey, why didn't you test my water? So for this video, I took your suggestions, spent $1,500, and had all of your favorite brands shipped to me for this test, including this one from Hawaii. During this video, I'll test and explain the differences between your favorite types of bottled water, including spring, reverse osmosis, distilled, and how those compare to tap, rain, or lake water. I'll also taste test each one of them and comment on that test too. By the end of this video, you'll have all the info you need to choose the best bottled water for your family. And be sure to stick around to the end, where I'll share with you something very scary about bottled water that you should know when choosing bottled water for your family and show you a better alternative. We measure water quality a number of ways. TDS, or total dissolved solids, in parts per million. The lower the number, the purer your water. Since water is a natural solvent, it dissolves whatever it comes into contact with. The longer it's in contact with any surface, the more minerals it absorbs from that surface or container, and the less pure it becomes. EPA drinking water standard for TDS is 500 parts per million or less. For these tests, we use a TDS meter to test your bottled water. You may have heard of pH, which is a measure of how acidic or alkaline the water is. 7.0 is neutral or basic, below that is acidic, above that is alkaline. We use a chemical test kit to test the pH. Water hardness is a measure of how much calcium magnesium the water has absorbed. Hardness coats your kettle and scale or clogs your Keurig or Nespresso machine. We used our hardness test kit to test each water's hardness. As you can see here, anything over 60 parts per million of hardness means the water's hard, and that'll cause grief for that Keurig. To get a baseline for comparison purposes, we can compare those bottled water brands to typical municipal water, rainwater, and lake water. Why rain and lake water? Well, I don't know about you, but I believe that mankind, wildlife, birds, bees, trees, and all living things for that matter were not put on this planet with the intention of drilling holes 200 feet into the ground for wells and suck water out of the ground. The most likely sources for drinking water for us before they became polluted are lakes, rivers, and rain. A lot of information about what's in the bottle of water is right here on these itty bitty little labels, and if you could read them, you'd know more about what's in the bottle. But no problem, I'll decode them for you today for each type of bottled water. But generally, the cleaner the label, the less stuff in that water and the purer the water. I have a list of the mineral symbols and what they represent in the description below. With all that info and their water analysis, I'll share what's in the water in your bottle. Is the material that the bottle is made from important? It sure is. Glass leaches far less into the water than plastic does. Are glass bottles better for the environment? Not necessarily. The problem with glass is that it's heavier than plastic, so it costs more to ship to the bottler, ship to you, and then recycle. Actually, in terms of the carbon footprint, single-use glass bottles are the worst, followed by single-use plastic bottles, then aluminum cans, then refillable glass or plastic bottles. But best of all, no container at all, but more on that option later. The bottled water that most of you wanted tested was Mountain Valley spring water. First of all, what exactly is spring water? It's water that comes from an underground spring, typically collected at the point where it springs naturally flows to the surface. Now, Mountain Valley spring water is bottled in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Discovered in 1871, the source is a spring in a remote valley of Ouachita Mountains. According to the bottler, the spring's unique blend of minerals provides a remarkably refreshing taste while remaining sodium-free and naturally alkaline. But when you check their water analysis, we see that it's barely alkaline with a pH of 7.5, and it's not sodium-free, having a sodium content of 3 parts per million. Their full water analysis shows that there's calcium, magnesium, potassium, silica, and a lot more minerals in this water. In fact, we tested it at 176 parts per million of mineral content. Keep that in mind if you're looking for very pure water, since this one isn't all that pure. You can get it in glass or aluminum recyclable containers, but it's quite expensive. Either way, since you're paying extra for that packaging, its heavy weight increases its shipping costs. Mountain Valley Spring Water's parent company has achieved carbon neutrality across its U.S. operations in October 2020. Their website says Mountain Valley Spring Water is the water of presidents, from Coolidge to Clinton. Athletes like Sugar Ray Robinson and Joe Louis. A-list celebrities including Elvis Presley refreshed with Mountain Valley spring water. Strange that it doesn't list more contemporary influencers though. It has a high price and this water tastes dense or thick. It's smooth and somewhat sweet. Ice Mountain spring water says that it has a distinctly fresh taste that keeps you refreshed sip after sip. It's 100% natural spring water that's served throughout the Midwest. So it comes from different springs, meaning that the analysis varies depending on the spring. Its analysis shows that it's tested quite similar to Mountain Valley spring water in terms of the minerals, but with slightly more salt and total dissolved solids. And some fluoride showed up with this one. I only found it in plastic bottles, but it was inexpensive, especially when compared to Mountain Valley spring water. Ice Mountain Spring Water Michigan Bottling Facility are some of the only sites in the U.S. to be independently certified by the Alliance for Water Stewardship, which demonstrates their use of water is socially equitable, environmentally sustainable, and economically beneficial. It's only available in plastic bottles, tastes somewhat thick or dense, smooth or salty, and its price is medium to low compared to the other waters. When it comes to Walmart Great Value Spring Water, they say it's convenient and refreshing. Great Value Spring Water is a healthy option that is sodium-free and non-carbonated. Their water analysis showed it not to be sodium-free. It has 2 parts per million of sodium, but it tested as the hardest water of the bunch at 102 parts per million of hardness. And the overall mineral content was 270 parts per million total dissolved solids, which was also very high. Eco-friendly, the bottle is made from 100% recycled plastic, a sustainable choice that is good for you and for the environment. Or so they say. This spring water is the least costly bottled water of the bunch, probably because it's available at your local Walmart. Walmart doesn't list any celebrity endorsements for their water, but who do you think would be the best celebrity for this water? It tastes somewhat thick or dense, smooth, and salty. Poland spring water is water sourced from a number of springs in Maine. Although they no longer source their spring water from the original Poland spring, which they started using in 1845, I was pleasantly surprised to see the low TDS, neutral pH, and low hardness in this water, but some of their springs have a fairly high sodium content of 10 parts per million. Again, since this water is sourced from several different sources, the results will vary. This water is moderately priced, but only comes in a 100% recyclable plastic bottle. Poland Springs goes on to say, when it comes to sustainability, our Spring Guardians, a team of hydrogeologists and field experts, monitor water flows, track precipitation levels, and even study the area's biodiversity. All of this is to help ensure the springs and surrounding areas are sustainably managed. If you're looking for a very pure spring water, since the total dissolved solids is so low, this would be a good choice. Rock star Alice Cooper insists on having Poland spring water at all of his concerts and feeds it to his pet boa constrictor. Definitely the taste is thinner and more pure tasting, but there is an aftertaste, and the price is low to medium. In terms of US source spring water, this would be my top pick, but not the best bottled water. That's coming later on in this video. Deer Park spring water is sourced from multiple different springs in Pennsylvania, Maryland, South Carolina, and Florida. Again, a pretty decent budget type spring water with low total dissolved solids, hardness, and average pH. But since this water comes from a number of different sources, the results vary significantly from source to source. This is one of the lowest cost bottles of spring water, but based on the bottles we received, once again shows that you don't need to spend big bucks to get some quality spring water. And since it's US sourced, the water spends a relatively short time in the bottle before getting to you, which is a good thing. It tastes pretty neutral, but I did notice a slight aftertaste. Poland Spring is better, and it's a medium price bottled water, and it only comes in recyclable plastic bottles. According to Deer Park, as a company that depends on the health of natural resources, we take responsibility for helping protect them. Our commitment begins by helping conserve the spring where we source our water. It continues with our efforts to reduce waste with better bottles that can be recycled, and in some cases, bottles that have been made from 100% recycled materials, and ultimately, we're committed to supporting our local communities. As you can see, these spring waters are pretty similar, except for the high price of Mountain Valley, low price of Walmart, and Walmart's high total dissolved solids. Icelandic spring water is filtered slowly for 5,000 years through layers of lava rock. Icelandic Glacial possesses a highly desirable and uncommonly high pH of 8.4, making it naturally alkaline. So what is alkaline water anyway? Any water over a pH of 7.0 is technically alkaline, but generally over 8.0 pH water is considered alkaline water. But many people prefer the taste of alkaline water due to the typically higher amounts of calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonates. According to both Healthline and the Mayo Clinic, the so-called improved health claims of alkaline water are unfounded and at best need more research. Although folks with acid reflux have found some relief from drinking high pH water. But keep in mind that high pH water over 8.0 can make your skin dry and itchy and will give your coffee a bitter taste. Icelandic Glacial is sourced from the legendary Olfa Spring in Iceland, one of the world's most pristine ecosystems. Our test results confirmed this water to have a high pH of 8.0 or higher with a relatively low total dissolved solids of 52 parts per million. But the water is quite salty at 11 parts per million and does have some hardness. No matter where you buy this bottled water, it's quite expensive and it's only available in PET plastic bottles. But I like the compactness of the square shape. Icelandic Glacial is the first carbon neutral certified bottled water company for both its products and operations. Recently, Icelandic Glacial spring water was the official water of the 78th Golden Globe Awards. Icelandic water tastes good and is very neutral, but the price is definitely high. Prolom spring water is low mineralized, alkaline, natural spring water with hypothermic properties from Serbia. The bottler says it has a natural diuretic and bacteriostatic effect. The high alkalinity of Prolom water makes it ideal for establishing the body's pH balance. Because of its low mineralization, it can be consumed in great quantities, or so they say. Now, our test confirmed that it had zero hardness and a relatively low total dissolved solids of 89 parts per million with a high pH of 8.8. But my biggest concern about this product is their water analysis shows 48.3 parts per million of sodium. Considering a sodium-reduced diet, which we all should be on, is 20 parts per million or less, this stuff is way too salty. Also, it's one of the few bottled water brands that contains fluoride. It only comes in a plastic bottle and is relatively inexpensive when you consider how far it needs to travel to get here. But that travel time is a huge concern, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Prolom water is a medium price and it tastes thick and salty. I would pass on this one. According to Aquafina natural spring water, they say it spends 14 years flowing under the rolling hills of Tuscany in Italy, a landscape of timeless beauty on its way to the surface. Untouched by man, it's bottled directly at the source. We tested this water with a moderate hardness of 51 parts per million, total dissolved solids of 114 parts per million, and a pH of 8.0 to confirm that it is alkaline. Once again, the sodium content at 6.7 parts per million is somewhat high. This water is available in both glass and plastic bottles. When it comes to sustainability, Aquafina says our goal is to minimize the environmental impact of all production processes in the quest for zero waste. Since 2011, 100% of electricity used in their plant has been acquired from certified renewable resources. What's it taste like? Well, dense, actually quite thick, which is surprising for the moderate total dissolved solids of this water, and the price is very high. Eternal natural spring water is sourced from 3 naturally alkaline springs. They say eternal spring water flows through layers of ancient rock, absorbing essential minerals and electrolytes along the way, making it naturally alkaline. We only sourced our water from pure and pristine, naturally alkaline springs right here in the USA. They get it from Shasta Trinity Alps in California and Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. The founder boasts that since the water is 100% all natural, they don't need to have an ingredient label. Apparently, they also think they don't need to provide a water analysis online either. I did request and received one by email. Our water test showed it to be mildly hard with a low TDS and a fairly neutral pH of 7.5. Their California spring had a lower pH than what would typically be called alkaline water, and its sodium content was higher than the Tennessee spring. You'll always get different results from different springs. They have recently gone to a thinner, pressure-sensitive label to lessen its environmental impact. Jason Terry, a professional basketball player, has been seen drinking their water on social media. It's only available in plastic bottles. As far as I'm concerned, not a great choice. Eternal's water price is quite high and has a thicker, more neutral taste. And as you can see, these 4 spring waters tested quite similarly other than the mineral content and hardness numbers. Fiji's Artesian Waters website says their water begins as a cloud high above Fiji, over 1,600 miles from the nearest continent. Tropical rainfalls purified by the equatorial trade winds in a pristine rainforest surrounded by ancient dormant volcanoes. Slowly filtered by volcanic rock, it gathers minerals and electrolytes that create Fiji's soft, smooth taste. When we look at Fiji's water analysis, we see there's a lot of minerals in their water. In fact, 222 parts per million of mineral content, with one of the highest amounts of sodium at 16 parts per million, which is dangerously close to that 20 parts per million maximum for sodium-reduced diet. Fiji has transitioned its PET plastic bottles over to 100% recycled plastic throughout the US. Fiji water has a thicker, almost sweeter taste, likely due to the higher calcium content. And as you probably already know, it's a very expensive water. Fiji water is reputed to be the favorite of many Hollywood stars, including Nicole Kidman and Justin Timberlake. And according to their website, even former US President Barack Obama. Next up, we've got Waka artesian water from Hilo, Hawaii, which originates atop the volcano as rain and snow melt. The water slowly filters through thousands of feet of porous volcanic rock, re-emerging at the surface as refreshingly crisp, naturally alkaline water. We tested the pH at 7.5, which is just barely alkaline water. This water is soft at only 17 parts per million of hardness and has a low total dissolved solids of 82 parts per million. Waiakea Spring has more than 393 million gallons per day of capacity, and Waiakea only bottles a small fraction of that capacity. They're certified carbon neutral. Waiakea water has a huge group of influencers from athletes, artists, musicians, and philanthropists. This water is only available in a PET plastic bottle. This water is high priced and it has a good natural taste. But is it worth getting shipped all the way to the mainland? Nope. Next up, Topo Chico sparkling carbonated mineral water. This is a mineral water that's been sourced and bottled at Monterrey, Mexico, at the Cerro del Topo Chico Springs since 1895. Currently, they're owned by Coca-Cola. It's naturally carbonated with just a little extra carbonation added to restore any bottles lost in the purification process. Now keep in mind, this water has the highest total dissolved solids of the group at 630 parts per million, way above the 500 parts per million drinking water standard. Its water analysis shows it to have the highest sodium content at 41 parts per million, and it tested as being quite hard. Coca-Cola's Topo Chico water contained the highest level of PFAS, or forever chemicals, with a 9.76 parts per million in a test done in 2020. In 2021, the brand said it was cut its PFAS in half and that it was upgrading its filtration system to ensure the continued safety and quality of Topo Chico in the future. It comes packaged in glass bottles with a cap that needs to be removed with a bottle opener, and once open, cannot be reclosed. Very inconvenient. I don't honestly see the point of this water whatsoever, except maybe as an alternative to wine with dinner if you absolutely love the taste, but I don't recommend it, and there's better options out there. Now, this bottled water is fairly high priced, but you know, I don't like mineral water and it tastes very salty, but it sure is fun to say Topo Chico. When it comes to Voss sparkling water, they say over 2 decades ago, Voss emerged from the pristine lands of Norway, a country celebrated for its untainted natural resources, modern elegance, and unwavering commitment to quality. Fancy stuff. They go on to say that it's pure and low in minerals. Actually, the mineral content is one of the highest at 280 parts per million total dissolved solids. So of all the bottled water we tested, it isn't all that pure. And wow, that salt content at 110 parts per million is definitely super high, way above what is allowed on a low sodium diet. The pH was one of the lowest here at 5.0, so this water is very acidic. Voss is available in both glass and PET plastic bottles. Voss says their plant operates with 100% renewable energy and have implemented a recycling program for all the solid waste, resulting in 90% landfill avoidance. Voss tastes thick, salty, and bitter, and this is the most expensive bottled water here. Both Kim Kardashian and The Rock, who's a Voss investor, enjoy Voss water, if that's important to you. And when we compare the artesian and sparkling water brands, we see a big difference in the pH of the brands and a massive difference in the total dissolved solids. I wouldn't choose any of these. So again, we had a lot of requests for us to be testing Evian water. So Evian says our water gets its unique, cool, crisp taste from its 15-year journey through the French Alps. It starts as snow and rain and travels slowly through layers of glacial rocks where it becomes naturally filtered and enhanced with electrolytes and minerals. So this is another water that's high in minerals to the tune of 309 parts per million total dissolved solids. Also, it's the only water that shows uranium on its water analysis. The analysis says that it has a very high hardness of 310 parts per million, but the bottle we tested had a much lower hardness, but still not very coffee maker friendly. Since 2017, Evian has been using 100% renewable energy at their bottling sites. Evian uses PET plastic bottles, but it has pledged by 2025 all their bottles will be 100% recycled PET. Evian water tastes very thick or dense, smooth, salty, and somewhat bitter, and the price is medium to high. Mass market French premium mineral water Evian is another popular choice for the American elite, and are on the list of celebrities who demand the brand. The water is popular for more than just hydrating, apparently. Serena Williams raved about the $5,000 Evian experience, which includes an Evian bath, saying, "I could feel the difference from the moment I stepped into the tub." Melissa Vivian Jefferson, also known as Lizzo, has mentioned Evian facial spray as her favorite beauty secret to stay fresh during stage performances. When discussing Evian, I mentioned electrolytes. What are electrolytes anyway? They're minerals that are carrying an electric charge. They're found in your blood, urine, and sweat, and are vital to specific processes that keep your body functioning as it should. Common electrolytes are sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate. How do you get electrolytes? From eating a balanced diet. Sodium is in most foods found in North America, so we don't need more of that. Chlorides are found in table salt. Potassium is in fruits and vegetables like bananas, avocado, sweet potatoes. Magnesium from seeds and nuts. Calcium is found in dairy products and orange juice. In fact, an 8-ounce glass of orange juice will give you 30% of the recommended daily amount of calcium you need. So you don't need water that's been fortified with electrolytes. In fact, you would need to drink a bathtub full of water fortified with electrolytes to get the same amount of calcium as that orange juice. Water only accounts for 2 to 3% of the electrolytes needed for your daily diet. The rest comes from your food. And I've included a link in the description down below with 25 food sources of electrolytes. San Pellegrino sparkling natural mineral water, which according to San Pellegrino flows from a thermal spring at the foot of the Dolomite Mountains in northern Italy. They call it mineral water, and their water analysis says that it's incredibly high, 1,109 parts per million of total dissolved solids. Considering drinking water standard is a maximum of 500 parts per million, that's way too high. There's 44 parts per million of sodium content, more than double what's recommended for sodium-reduced diet, and we've got 0.49 parts per million of fluoride in there too. San Pellegrino comes in plastic bottles. Between 2019 and 2021, the San Pellegrino group saved 201 million liters of water through efficiency improvements. They achieved a reduction of emissions from production processes of about 47% since 2010. And since then, 100% of their purchased electricity is from renewable energy sources. But I don't see why anyone would drink this water. San Pellegrino water tastes thick, salty, and bitter. It's my least favorite of all, and the price is fairly high. Guns N' Roses, the renowned US rock band, are reportedly huge fans of this Italian water brand. And when comparing these natural mineral waters, the mineral content really is nuts. What's reverse osmosis water, and why would some companies be remineralizing it? It's municipal water that has been extensively purified by pumping it through a membrane and removing 90% of the impurities, bringing it very close to pure H2O. Some people have referred to reverse osmosis water as tap water, but that would be kind of like calling Master Chef Gordon Ramsay a cook. Remineralized reverse osmosis, or RO water, is water that has had some of the good minerals like calcium, potassium, magnesium added back in. Remineralization brings the pH up to a neutral 7.0. So remineralized RO water is low in mineral content, but keep in mind, we get 95% of the minerals we need from the foods we eat, not from our water. Remineralized RO water is low in mineral content, but keep in mind, we get 97% of the minerals we need from the foods we eat, not from our water. Also, Consumer Reports recently tested bottled water for PFAS, or forever chemicals, where 39 out of 100 types contained PFAS. The study did not identify which brands were tested, but the researchers did find that the bottled waters labeled as purified, which are typically purified through reverse osmosis, contained less PFAS overall than spring water, which is not filtered with reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is the best way to remove PFAS or forever chemicals. And if you're looking for more information about PFAS or forever chemicals in your water, I've got a great YouTube video that goes into it in great detail. I'll put a link in the description down below. When it comes to Asentia water, they say our proprietary ionization process gives our water a pH of 9.5 or higher by removing the bitter tasting acidic ions. The end result is 99.9% pure premium water with a balance of electrolytes and minerals that complement body's mix, all with a clean, smooth taste. Well, yes, their water does have a pH of 9.5 as advertised. We confirmed that with our test, but the high 16 parts per million of sodium is a problem for me. Also, the fluoride content is 0.12 parts per million, even though their website says there isn't any. That certainly puts me off. Asentia water is purified using reverse osmosis to make it 99.9% pure. But then they add what they call trace amounts of electrolytes, apparently salts, to boost the pH. Asentia water comes in PET plastic bottles, and although they're working on numerous projects to reduce their carbon footprint and moving to a more sustainable packaging design, no specific progress was outlined on their website. Asentia is the official alkaline water of the Brooklyn Nets. They say with resilience, ambition, and optimism at the core of both Asentia's and the Nets' DNA, we're a perfect match to keep fans and players hydrated and fired up all season. How's it taste? Well, to me it tastes thick, although the total dissolved solid is quite low, but it also tastes salty and bitter. And the price, well, it's medium high. Next up, we have Pure Life Purified Water with Minerals. So it's a remineralization reverse osmosis water. The bottler says they believe in making drinking water fun and helping you and your family stay hydrated. Whatever your lifestyle, we have the bottle to hydrate happy. There's very little information on their website about the actual water, but with a little digging, you'll soon find that this is a Nestle brand. Since it comes from numerous sources, again, the water analysis varies widely. But I was surprised to see the sodium content was fairly high. But that must be part of the remineralization process. The bottle we tested was low in total dissolved solids, had zero hardness, and the lowest pH of the bunch at 6.0, so it is acidic. Pure Life water tastes a little on the sweet but salty side, comes packaged only in plastic bottles, and has a low price. Dasani water is another remineralized reverse osmosis water, while Dasani's product label does not provide information regarding its water source, likely because they use multiple sources. It does indicate that the water is purified using reverse osmosis. It's marketed as purified, mineral enhanced, water remineralized with magnesium sulfate, potassium bicarbonate, or potassium chloride. Basically salts. Coca-Cola owns this brand. We tested it as one of the purest and the lowest total dissolved solids water at 26 parts per million. It's also amongst the mildly acidic with a pH of 6.5. Since Dasani water is bottled close to its distribution area, the water sits in its bottles for a very short period of time, which is a good thing. Dasani is bottled in 100% recyclable plant bottles made from up to 30% plant-based material. These special bottles are created just for their water. Dasani says our latest innovation in producing water bottles made up of 100% rPET plastic. Dasani believes this will reduce over 25,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions in the next year alone, which has the same effect as taking more than 6,000 cars off the road. This innovation will turn what was once single-use plastic into a sustainable and reusable solution. Dasani water tastes clean, clear, and is relatively tasteless, just like water should be, and its price is low to medium. Aquafina Remineralized reverse osmosis water is owned by the Pepsi company. It's also among the more popular brands of bottled water displayed in supermarkets and corner stores alike. Aquafina says, what's the secret for perfectly pure tasting water? Our rigorous purification process. It takes out the stuff other bottled water brands leave in. They go on to say the Aquafina purification system is designed to remove trace compounds like carbohydrates, bicarbonates, chloride, sulfates, phosphates, nitrates, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, iron, and manganese. We remove these compounds to deliver a more pure water. Now, when we tested Aquafina, we found it was one of the most acidic waters at a pH of 6.0. But definitely the purest at a minute 1 part per million of total dissolved solids. Although I admit I was surprised to see fluoride in their water analysis of 0.17 parts per million. Aquafina is only sold in plastic bottles. Aquafina says our water is truly local. We've assembled a network of 40 bottled water production sites around the country to cut down the distance Aquafina travels from our plants to your home. Aquafina tastes particularly thin, but I found that it has an unusual aftertaste. And the price is low to medium. Aquafina is the official bottled water of the National Football League, the National Basketball Association, and the National Hockey League. Next up, we have Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. This is another remineralized water, but this time it's distilled water. Distilled water is made by boiling water and then condensing the steam, and then remineralizing the condensed steam by adding magnesium, calcium, and potassium before bottling. The folks at Smart Water, which is owned by Coca-Cola, say every drop of Smart Water Alkaline tastes pure, and will leave you feeling refreshed. We did confirm their claim of a very high pH of 9.5, and the total dissolved solids are a very low 38 parts per million. Smart Water recently launched a campaign to remind consumers that as well as being 100% recyclable, Smart Water bottles are now made from 100% recycled PET plastic. Seems that's big news for many of the waters featured here. Smart Water bottles are BPA free and recyclable. The bottle is also made of up to 30% of plant-based materials. Smart Water tastes very thin, but has an unusual flavor, and its price is medium to high. Guru-like celebrities such as Jennifer Aniston complain one secret to good health can be found in the vapor distillation process of Smart Water. They've used Jennifer Aniston as their spokesperson since 2007, with other well-known celebrities like Kylie Minogue and quarterback Tom Brady promoting it too. And Smart Water has become the most profitable water brand for corporate giant Coca-Cola. When comparing the remineralized, reverse osmosis, and distilled waters, there's a huge difference in how much stuff is added and the results on pH and total dissolved solid. And the winner is Dasani. So Dasani is the winner because it's highly pure, it's low mineral content, also it's slightly acidic, but it's produced locally throughout the world, so it doesn't sit in bottles for a long time. The purification process they use removes a massive amount of contaminants, including those forever chemicals, and it tastes great. What does my family drink when at home or at work? We drink super pure reverse osmosis from our Hume Water Saver 75 reverse osmosis drinking water system. We don't need to worry about how long the water is sat in a container because it gets used every day. And we fill our water bottle to take it to work with us because we have an unlimited supply available at all times. Its specifications are very close in pH and total dissolved solids to lake, river, or rainwater. We have an unlimited supply on tap, and it costs us pennies a glass, so it's much cheaper than any of the bottled water. And if you want water that's more alkaline, you can always add a remineralization filter to add calcium and potassium back into your water. And when we're traveling away from home, we look for our Dasani water. And if you're looking for more information on our reverse osmosis drinking water systems, click the link in the description below. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room regarding bottled, canned, or boxed water. That is the environmental impact and carbon footprint of shipping that bottled water in the heat and elements from the source to each country, city, warehouse, store, and especially all that shipping from Europe. Click here for this video about reverse osmosis drinking water systems, and I'll see you there.